Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we are not just reading the news, we're stepping into, well, a blast furnace of emotion.
That's a good way to put it.
We're diving into a stack of sources that centers around Chelsea News Today, hosted by a creator named Claudio. And let me tell you right off the bat, the mood here is absolutely electric.
It really is. I've gone through a lot of source material for these deep dives, but this one, it stands out. It is unapologetically biased. It's raw.
Totally.
It is full of what Claudio calls blue pride.
Blue pride, I love that. It's not just
See?
reporting, it's tribalism in the best possible way. We are looking at a snapshot of Chelsea Football Club in January 2026, and if you are a fan, your heart rate is probably through the roof right now.
It's the definition of a roller coaster. I mean, you look at the stack we have today, and it's whipping back and forth between these extreme highs and extreme lows.
Right.
You have despair over a freak injury. You have this fierce defiance over a massive fine from the FA. And then you have the absolute chaos of the transfer market.
Chaos is the right word. We've got rumors about Manchester United that are making the fan base laugh and maybe sweat a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
And we have potential new arrivals that could completely change how the team plays.
It's a perfect storm. We're in the middle of the season. The transfer window is ticking down. The fixture list is just, it's congested. The tension is palpable in every single sentence from this source.
So here is our mission for this deep dive. We are going to sift through this intense fan passion, this clubista energy, as the source calls it. We want to take that raw emotion, hold it up to the light, and see if we can find the tactical truths and strategic realities facing Stamford Bridge right now.
Exactly. Because while the delivery is pure emotion, crying over an injury, puffing out the chest over a fine, the underlying facts tell a very specific story about where Chelsea is as a football project in 2026. We need to understand why the fans are feeling this way.
Let's jump right into the deep end then with the news that seems to have broken everyone's heart. The injury to Dario Essugo. Now, if you aren't tracking every single training update, you might have missed this, but the source treats this like a national tragedy.
And tactically, it might as well be. This is a significant blow. The news, confirmed by Liam Rosenior, is that Essugo is out. But what's fascinating to me is the way it happened.
Oh, it's maddening. You expect a player like Essugo, who is described as this defensive anchor, to go down in a blaze of glory, right?
Exactly, a crunching tackle.
The crunching tackle against a rival, stopping a counterattack. But no, the source says he simply slipped.
A slip. Just gravity and turf.
Claudio, our source, literally says it's enough to make you cry.
Yeah.
He paints this picture of Essugo as a guy who was just hitting his peak physical form, just becoming that monster in the midfield, and then boom, slipped in training.
It feels cruel because it's so mundane. But if we peel back the emotion and look at the tactics, that anchor description is the key to understanding the panic. In a modern Premier League midfield, the anchor, the number 6, is the most difficult position to play.
Walk us through that. Why is losing this specific player so damaging to the system?
Well, think of the anchor as the screen. They're the filter. Before an opponent can run at your center backs, they have to get through the anchor. Essugo provides that physical vigor. He wins the duels, he intercepts the passes, he physically imposes himself on the game.
So when you lose that,
you aren't just losing a body, you are removing the shield that protects your entire defense.
and without that shield, the defense is exposed. The source mentions he's out for at least a month. In January and February, with the games coming thick and fast, that feels like an eternity.
It creates a massive structural hole. But this is where the source shifts gears in a really interesting way. It goes from "it's enough to make you cry" to this intense, almost aggressive next man up mentality.
Right. They don't dwell on the pity party for too long. Immediately, names start flying around. There's a mention of Romeo Lavia needing to finally get into gear. The source uses the Portuguese word engrenar.
Get into gear
Yeah.
is a polite way of saying start performing. It implies the talent is there. We know Lavia has incredible feet, but the engine hasn't been running smoothly. He hasn't been consistent.
But the real pressure, the real spotlight in this narrative, it isn't on Lavia.
No, it's on two other names, Enzo Fernandez and specifically Andrey Santos.
Oh, the hype around Andrey Santos here is off the charts. Claudio calls him the future of the Brazilian national team and the future of Chelsea.
That is a massive burden to place on a young player, the future of Brazil.
Yeah.
But it reflects Chelsea's entire strategy over the last few years, right? They stockpiled this young, elite talent.
Yeah.
The argument has always been, wait for them to develop. Well, with Essugo out, The waiting room is closed. The theoretical potential has to become practical reality now.
This source uses a phrase I absolutely love, absurd quality. They say the team relies on their absurd quality. It's like a mantra. Yes, we lost our anchor, but look at the magic we have in reserve.
It's a coping mechanism, sure, but it's also objectively true. I mean, the technical ceiling of players like Enzo and Santos is sky high. However, and this is the crucial tactical point, it requires a shift. Essugo is physical. He's a destroyer.
And Enzo and Santos are not.
They're technical masters. They're creators.
So you can't just plug Santos into Essugo's spot and expect the same result.
No, you can't. You can't ask Santos to just be a battering ram. The source mentions this will require a redoubling of effort from the midfield. That means the entire unit has to work harder. They have to press more collectively, close down space faster, because they don't have that one guy who can just physically bully the opponent off the ball.
So the narrative is, we are terrified of the defensive fragility, but we're also strangely excited to see if the future of Brazil can save us. It's that classic sports duality.
With fear and hope, yeah.
Yeah.
All wrapped up in a training ground slip.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah.
And that emotional duality carries right over into the next big topic in the stack. We go from physical pain to financial pain, or in this case, financial pride.
The fine. This is great.
The fine. This is wild. So the news is that the FA has slapped Chelsea with a £150,000 fine. This dates back to a match against Aston Villa in December. The charge is failing to control player behavior.
Rule E20.1. It's the standard charge for a mass confrontation. Basically, a brawl. Players surrounding the ref, pushing and shoving with the opposition.
Now, in the normal world, or, the corporate world, getting fined £150,000 is bad. It's a lack of discipline. It's waste. But for our source, it's a badge of honor.
Oh, yeah.
Claudio's take is, and I quote, "I like to see blood in the eyes."
Blood in the eyes. It's such a visceral image.
He also says, our bench doesn't accept disrespect.
And this is fascinating reframing of the narrative. Usually a manager would come out and apologize, say they need to be more disciplined. But the clubista perspective turns that vice into a virtue. The narrative here is that the club pays the fine with pride because it proves the players care.
It's like they are viewing the £150,000 as a subscription fee for passion. Like, here's the money. Thanks for letting us show we have a spine.
In a way, yes. And it connects to that disconnect between modern fans and modern players. Fans often feel like players are mercenaries, just there for the paycheck. A brawl, ironically, breaks that perception.
Because you're fighting for the badge.
If you're willing to fight, literally fight for the badge, the fans will forgive the lack of discipline. They see it as emotional investment.
But is there a danger there? I mean, the source does admit the board needs to align behavior.
There is a massive danger. It's the fine line between passion and chaos. You can pay a fine of £150,000. For a Premier League club, that's not going to bankrupt them. But if that blood-in-the-eyes mentality leads to a red card in the 20th minute of a crucial game...
Against Arsenal or Liverpool, yeah.
...then the cost isn't money. It's points.
And with Essugo already out, you really can't afford suspensions.
Exactly. You need controlled aggression, not wild chaos. But you could tell deep down the fan in Claudio loves seeing the team scrap. It energizes the base. It creates an us-against-the-world mentality.
Speaking of us against the world and people trying to unsettle the club, let's talk about the rumor that nearly gave our source a heart attack. Manchester United. Cole Palmer.
Ah, yes. The rumor mill. This is peak silly season.
The source treats this rumor with absolute disdain. It's hilarious. Claudio mentions the report that United wants Cole Palmer, and his reaction is basically, are you joking? Is this a comedy sketch?
From a neutral perspective, you can see why the rumor exists. United needs a superstar. Palmer is a superstar. It's opportunistic. But from the Chelsea perspective, it's heresy. It's insulting.
The source uses this amazing Portuguese idiom that I need us to pause on. He says, let them take their little horse out of the rain.
Tirar o cabello da chuva. It's such a classic phrase.
Take your little horse out of the rain. For our listeners who don't speak Portuguese, what is the vibe of that saying?
It's dismissive, but it's playful. It basically means don't hold your breath or give up on that idea because it is never, ever happening.
I like that.
Imagine a little horse tied up outside in the rain waiting for something. The saying means go get him, bring him inside because you're going to be waiting forever.
I love that. United, take your little horse out of the rain. But beyond the mockery, there's a real defensiveness here. The source emphasizes that Rosenior confirmed Palmer trained with a smile on his face and has no homesickness. Why is this specific rumor so triggering?
Because Cole Palmer isn't just a player for Chelsea right now. He is the project. He is the face of the franchise.
Yes.
The narrative being built around him is that he breathes blue. If you lose him, especially to a domestic rival like Manchester United, it invalidates everything. It sends a message that Chelsea is a stepping stone, not a destination.
So the fans need to believe he is untouchable.
They must believe it. To accept that he could leave is to accept that the club isn't at the top of the food chain anymore. So when the source says he is Chelsea, that's a statement of identity as much as it is a transfer update.
So they are slamming the door on Palmer leaving. But at the same time, they are kicking the door wide open for new faces. And this brings us back to the Essugo injury.
Right.
The club isn't just relying on internal solutions like Santos. They are active in the market.
This is where we see the strategy shift from long-term development to immediate reaction. The source mentions contact with Juventus regarding Douglas Luiz.
Douglas Luiz. Now, the source points out he's currently at Nottingham Forest, which implies some complex loan recall or transfer triangle, but the logic seems to be his Premier League experience.
That's the key factor here. If you look at that midfield, Lavia, Santos, Enzo, it's incredibly young. It has immense talent, but maybe a lack of know-how in those gritty, ugly Premier League games on a rainy Tuesday night.
Right.
Douglas Luiz brings that scar tissue. He's been in the league for years.
The source talks about him dictating the rhythm.
And dictating the rhythm is exactly what they need if they don't have a destroyer. If you can't tackle the opponent, you keep the ball away from them. Douglas Luiz is a metronome. He can slow the game down when things get chaotic or speed it up to catch a team sleeping.
The source uses the phrase making opponents dizzy alongside Enzo. That's the dream scenario, right? You just pass them to death.
It creates a nice balance. You have the dynamic energy of the youngsters and the control of someone like Luiz. It's a very pragmatic move to cover the loss of Essugo. It suggests the board knows they can't just rely on kids to navigate a crisis.
But they aren't stopping at the midfield. We have an internal, here we go, citing Fabrizio Romano about a defender, Jeremy Jacquet.
A defender from Rennes. Now, French football produces an incredible amount of defensive talent. It's like a factory for center backs.
It really is.
And the description the source gives here is a physical monster.
Physical monster with great ball output. That sounds like the modern center back prototype.
It is. You can't just be a wall anymore. You have to be a quarterback from the back. But the monster part is what stands out. The goal mentioned in the source is to turn the defense into a wall. This connects back to the anxiety about the injury.
Connect the dots for us.
Well, if your midfield shield, Essugo, is gone, your defense is going to face more pressure, more shots, more direct runs. So you need your defensive line to be absolutely impenetrable. Bringing in a physical monster like Jacquet is an attempt to shore up the spine of the team so the midfield can focus on creating.
So let's recap the Clubista mood board here. We have the emotional defense of Palmer, the reactive pursuit of Douglas Luiz, and the strategic acquisition of Jacquet. It sounds like a very busy, very aggressive January.
It's incredibly aggressive. And that aggression extends to the business side, too. The source briefly touches on the sponsorship hunt.
Yes, the talks with a tech giant. And again, the tone is so defiant. The source says they are refusing crumbs. They are seeking the biggest contract in Premier League history.
This ties it all together. The fines, the transfers, the sponsorship. It's all about status. Chelsea, in this narrative, belongs at the top. They don't accept disrespect on the pitch from Aston Villa, and they don't accept crumbs in the boardroom from sponsors.
It's a whole identity.
It's a cohesive identity of ambition. They want to be the biggest commercial brand and the toughest team to play against.
It paints a picture of a club that is fighting on all fronts. But just when you think you have the full picture, just when you think you understand the narrative, Claudio drops a bomb, a cliffhanger.
This is the part that really gets you thinking. This is where the fan confidence wobbles just a little bit.
He says right at the end that while everyone is looking at Douglas Luiz and the sponsorship, a surprise name was seen landing in London, with an agent linked to the board.
The classic mystery arrival.
But it's not just an arrival. The speculation turns dark. He asks, is this a replacement for a bombastic exit that no one saw coming?
That turns the whole episode on its head. Think about it. We spent all this time laughing off the Cole Palmer rumors, assuring ourselves that the core is safe, telling Manchester United to take their horse out of the rain. But this whisper suggests that maybe, just maybe, all that loud confidence is masking a fear.
A fear that someone untouchable might be on the way out.
Exactly. And in football, bombastic exit usually means a big name. If it's not Palmer, who is it? Is it the captain? Is it a fan favorite?
It chills the blood a little bit, doesn't it? After all that blue pride, the reality of the market might still sting. It reminds you that no matter how much passion you have, business is business.
It's the perfect ending to a deep dive on this source. It leaves you with that gnawing uncertainty that defines being a football fan. You can have all the blood in the eyes you want, but you never really know what's happening behind closed doors. Players have release clauses, agents have agendas.
So let's bring this all together for the listener. We've looked at the injury, the fine, the rumors, the reinforcements. What is the real state of the club based on this stack?
I think the takeaway is about the resilience of the fan narrative. Faced with a crisis like the Essugo injury, they find hope in Santos. Faced with criticism like the fine, they find pride in the passion. Faced with threats like United wanting Palmer, they find humor in the little horse.
It's a survival mechanism. They spin everything into a positive or a challenge to be overcome.
Exactly. But looking at the cold, hard facts, Chelsea is in a delicate spot. They are fragile defensively without Essugo. That is a fact. They are financially aggressive that need to balance the books with that sponsorship. And they are tactically evolving on the fly with these new potential signings.
It's a high-wire act, and frankly, it sounds exhausting to be in the middle of it.
That's football. If it wasn't exhausting, it wouldn't be fun.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you, the listener, with a thought about that mystery arrival and the potential exit.
Go on.
If the source is right, and there is a bombastic exit coming that no one predicted, who is it? We know Palmer is safe, or so we're told. But who is the one player, besides him, whose departure would actually cause the foundations of Stamford Bridge to shake? Is there anyone else who holds that kind of weight?
That is the question. And I'd add one more provocation for the listener to chew on. We talked about the fine and the blood in the eyes. There's a fine line between passion and chaos. Is that emotional edge exactly what Chelsea needs to grit their way through this injury crisis and finish the season strong? Or is that same lack of discipline, that willingness to get into a brawl, the very thing that will be their undoing when the pressure really ramps up in March and April?
Passion as a fuel or passion as a fire that burns the house down? We'll have to wait and see.
That's it for this deep dive into the electric world of Chelsea News Today. Thanks for listening.
A pleasure.
See you next time.